stuff, I'm very disappointed just overall how we performed. I even told Jordan to the side, thank you for having our back today.
That game was probably a great game for the NFL as far as a showcase for the game and competition because you had outstanding quarterback play, you had some very talented people out there playing. You certainly had one of the most expensive players in the history of the NFL out there playing. And so I guess everybody was going to take a look tonight and decide is he worth all that. It's very simple. Right. Dak was indispensable in my mind. Right. And so, yes. And Michael wasn't.
I don't know, that was a pretty big stack there at the end. Ryan Clark joining us as we inch closer to Monday Night Countdown at the top of the hour. Obviously, no CeeDee Lamb. It's hard to argue with the fact that Dak was indispensable. What did you think about that Cowboys offense?
Listen, I thought Dak played one of the best games I've seen him play, and it wasn't just about the completion of the passes. It was about the mastery of the pocket. It was understanding how to go through your progressions and find the right matchup. It was the level of toughness that he showed throughout the entire game, but it was making sure that the game wasn't wrecked by mistakes. It was making sure that George Pickens was involved from start to finish and being a big play wide receiver, and it was the timeliness of Dak Prescott. Listen, if not for a game-saving tackle by Micah Parsons, this game ends differently for the Dallas Cowboys, and I think that's all because of Dak. And this wasn't the first game this year that I thought Dak played absolutely out of his mind. From the first Thursday night against the Philadelphia Eagles, he's taken it upon himself to carry this offense, and we watched him do that last night as well. It's actually a shame, at least for the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, that this ended in a tie because he played winning football.
Yeah, Ryan, I saw folks asking, where was Micah Parsons on the stat sheet? Obviously, he had the game-saving tackle.
He's unreal.
Let me tell you, what you saw last night was that the best weapon, the best way to stop Micah Parsons isn't to double him, it's not to chip him, it's to have a quarterback play like an absolute machine. Dak Prescott on throws under 2.5 seconds went 12 for 14 for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm not actually that worried about the Packers defense. I think they just ran into a buzzsaw of a performance from the QB. Yes, George Pickens was too much for the cornerbacks to handle. They did get exposed a little bit. The Hobbs injury impacted them there. But to me, this was just about Dak Prescott in complete mastery of this offense. He has been unbelievable this year. And I agree with you, Ryan. I think this was one of the best games of his career, given the level of competition.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought outside of the quarterbacks, Parsons was the best player on the field. Last night, I don't want to say I'm concerned about the Packers defense, but I will say the thing that shocked me was the lack of rerouting to anybody in the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver group or tight ends. I mean, one of the reasons why Dak got rid of the ball so quickly and effectively was they never put hands on anybody. It was just letting free access off the field, off the route. It was a slant route. It was a stop route. It was a comeback. I mean, there was never any, you go to the ball right before the half after the fumble, and Pickens is just running down the field. This is a curl route. There's not a single person that puts a hand on him until he's laying on the ground. And so, there were so many examples of nobody on Green Bay's defense putting any type of reroute or hand on Pickens, on Turpin, on Holbert, anybody. And it was shocking to see, and I think that's part of the reason why Dak threw it so quickly and threw it so well.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, but we haven't seen that from this team throughout the entire season. There's been a lot of off coverage, a lot of cornerbacks sitting and waiting and anticipating that the football will come out quickly. But we've also seen their pressure affect the quarterbacks throughout the first 3 games, and it didn't affect Dak Prescott. And even in opportunities where Dak had to hold the ball and it was a 5-step drop or it was a shotgun, we saw chips, we saw guards coming off late to help tackles. We saw Dak Prescott maneuvering the pocket, and I just thought that his game, right, and the way that he saw the football game from pre-snap to then releasing the football was as high a mastery as we've seen against the Green Bay Packers this week. And I think what we need to learn now is what's Jeff Hafley's next step, right? They were beating people because they were better up front. Are we going to see more Edgerrin Cooper added? Are we going to see more Quay Walker? Will they bring second-level people? That's the next step.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. There was a play, I think, near the end of the game where they had like some sort of invert coverage with Mixon dropping, and I was watching that happen thinking this might work against a lot of the quarterbacks y'all played. Not against Dak Prescott and George Pickens right now, the way they're playing. You have to have the capability to man up some of these guys. And I do think it's something they're going to build on and learn from. You're right, this is a defense that plays a lot of zone. They use a lot of deception on the back end. But ultimately, against certain quarterbacks in the NFL, ones who can throw it as quickly and receivers like this, you have to play a different style. I think we will see that.
Yeah, I agree with your guys' points. I just think when you're playing an offense and a quarterback like Dak Prescott that is predicated and built on timing and rhythm, you have to break that timing and rhythm. And one of the ways to do it is to try to reroute, try to disrupt. That didn't happen last night for the Packers. It's in part the main reason why.
To start with breaking news on NFL Live with Adam Schefter. Schefter, what do we know about Malik Neighbors' knee injury?
Hannah, Malik Neighbors does in fact have a torn ACL. An MRI this morning confirmed that Neighbors will be lost for the remainder of the season. Went down on this play yesterday against the Los Angeles Chargers. You saw him grab the knee in pain. You saw how uncomfortable he was. No surprise that it's a torn ACL. We now begin to focus on 2026. Earlier in the same game, the Chargers had their Pro Bowl left tackle, Joe Alt, carted off the field. He had tests done. The initial tests were a high ankle sprain. He's getting a second opinion, but Alt actually wanted to come back in the game yesterday. That's encouraging, and it may not be a long-term injury for him. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson left Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs due to a hamstring injury. Moments ago, the Ravens head coach John Harbaugh said that Lamar could not have come back into the game yesterday, even if the game was closer, which leads you to believe that his status for Sunday's game against the Houston Texans is very much in question. And one player whose status no longer is in question is Nnamdi Madubuike, the Ravens Pro Bowl defensive tackle, has a neck injury. John Harbaugh said today he is now out for the season. The Ravens have been bracing to lose him. They placed him on injured reserve on Saturday, and Harbaugh confirmed a short time ago that Madubuike will not play again in 2025, which is yet the latest blow to a Ravens team that already has had more than its fair share of injuries.
Yeah, about half a dozen defensive starters. You see Mina's expression there. Mina Kimes is with us, Dan Orlovsky, and the men in blue here.
Different shades.
Jason McCourty and Field Yates. But let's start with Lamar there. Dan, in addition to all of these other injuries, I know you're there in Miami where you're calling the game tonight. How concerned are you about this Lamar news?
Yeah, this is obviously an enormous deal. I think just because he's Lamar Jackson, the style of football that he plays, the style of football he allows their offense to play, I'd also say this, Hannah, this receiving group hasn't really been getting open versus man coverage. So we're talking about an unbelievably dynamic player that has had to run, I would argue, probably a little bit more or move a little bit more because their guys really just haven't been getting open against man coverage. And then the concerning thing is, I would say off the game yesterday, that's, I think, the worst I've ever seen the Baltimore Ravens get beat since I've been in this job. I think it's the most unprepared I saw the Baltimore Ravens since I've been in this job. You talk about an offense playing against a defense that loves to bring pressure, and they had absolutely no pressure playing against Kansas City. They look completely unprepared.
Yeah, I share a lot of Dan's concerns, and especially if Lamar's out for any length of time or even injured and playing, you're worried for a number of reasons, one of which is they cannot run the football without him. When this team runs the ball, taking out Lamar carries, they are 30th league-wide in success rate. This is a team where the backs were third last year, led, of course, by Derrick Henry. There's a litany of reasons for that. Some of it is the run blocking. I think the absence of Patrick Ricard is sneaky big in this regard, but it's turned